Chenault Show. Happy Saturday to you. Isn't this great if you're listening on Saturday on the replay for that record? But actually, it's Tuesday afternoon, and we do have the great Armand Puyolt with me today, and it is going to be, and he's also going to tell me exactly how to pronounce his last name because I think I just blew it. And I had it two ways in my brain, and I think I went the wrong direction. But before we go there, I want to talk about a couple things that are near and dear to my heart. I hope that you are joining the ANMP, the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. I hope that you are going to Go Pro, which is Eric Worre's huge event. Those are the two events that I really support. I love the Mastermind down by Al Schreider and Art Jonak. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I had somebody call me today that wanted to be on the show because they saw Armand was on there. And they said, oh, man, I am such a great speaker and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, well, where do you go? And he said, well, I speak at my company. I make a lot of money. And he was telling me how much money he made and how much of a hot shot and a whiz-bang he was. I said, well, good. Do you speak anywhere else? He goes, no. Eric Worre has never asked me to speak. Garrett McGrath has never asked me to speak. I said, well, do you attend those events? Art Jonak has never asked me to speak. I said, do you go to the events? No. Do you support outside events? No. Do you belong to the ANMP for $50 a year? No. Do you do anything to give back to this great profession? No. I said, well, guess what? I will make sure that we get you in the queue to let us know what a great speaker you are after all those people that are giving back to the profession speak. Because those people should be in front, because this profession is about giving back, not taking. And just because you're a great speaker doesn't really do us a whole lot of good, because there's a lot of great speakers. We're looking for people that want to serve people. And there is a massive amount of difference. And even though the size of your paycheck tells you that you are an unbelievable network marketer, and probably your speaking skills and your skills in training and all those things, that really isn't the litmus test that I want to use to be on this show, on this radio show, or the skills that I want to see as far as in the world, because this is a business of service, and you need to get that. And the reason I love Armand is because I don't care where I go in the world, this crazy man is there too. And he is a big teddy bear, and he's always, quite frankly, scared me because he's so fun. And whether it was at the Six Figure Summit with Eric Worre and he was sitting right behind me and he took my picture and it was so adorable, or at everything that I do as far as giving back to this profession, he's there. And he's actually written far bigger checks than I could ever write. So that's kind of the start on this guy. So then Eric Worre goes around the room and he says, okay, who makes $10,000 a year? And people raise their hand. Who makes $100,000 a year? People raise their hand. Who makes $500,000 a year? People raise their hand. Who makes $1 million a year? People raise their hand. Who makes more than $1 million a year, like $2 million a year? It's a very small crowd. Over $5 million a year, much smaller crowd. Over $10 million a year, one man standing, and it was Armand. And I'm telling you what, I about swallowed my cigar. But having had lunch with him last Saturday, I understand now what the attraction is in what this guy's doing, and I think the world of him. Armand, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic. How are you, Tom?
I am so fantastic. It's unbelievable. And I'm telling you what, getting to spend time with you on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 10. You never blinked. You just were gracious. You were so kind to Denise. You bought us the biggest, best lunch I've ever seen. You picked us up in your Rolls Royce. Denise had never even been in a Rolls Royce before. She couldn't get the door open. She thought the door was locked, and she's pulling on the thing. And all of a sudden, Armand said, I hate to break it to you, Denise, but they're called suicide doors. And they open the other direction. And she'd never seen anything like that in her life. And she looked like a 3-year-old kid. It was absolutely magnificent. But, yeah, Armand, good to have you aboard, man. And was it fun having lunch with us?
It was always fun to have you around. Every time we sit down, every time we talk, I think we both learn things that will help the profession. So to me, it's a phenomenal time. Anytime I can spend some time with you and Denise.
Yeah, so here's the deal. You have been in network marketing. You you had dirt floors in your house. You were supporting your family. Tell people the story out of the gate about the princess whatever. I mean, that's where it all started. You guys, this guy started when he was a pup. Go ahead.
Well, to me, I didn't get to, I'm a person that never got to graduate from high school, and not because, I couldn't do the tests or do anything else. I was out working, and I had to work, to help support the family and try to get us from not being kicked out of another apartment and another apartment and another apartment like my whole life has been. One of the things, we've even lived in a car at one point in our lives, and I think that was very dramatic for my mother, and to the point she denies it, and denies it all the time, because the same fact, she hates, anybody to remember her of that situation. But here's the deal. One time, as I was always selling something, I was always selling candies or anything else at school that I can make some money. And all of a sudden, I get in, my mom gets invited to this home party, and she asked me to drive her. When I drove her to that place, I stood in the back of the room. I was about 16 and a half by that time. And then all of a sudden, when I'm looking and I'm watching and everything I'm seeing, I saw items that people were buying, and everybody that was in that room, for example, everybody that I saw in that room, they were people that could not pay the rent or did not have enough money or were poor, and they were all buying this stuff, and I thought, wow, how can people buy this stuff if they couldn't afford it? Yet if they're buying it, that means it's worth something more than the value of it, like a comic book per se. Like I was very into comics at that time. So collector items were very, to me, I was watching this happen, as they were selling and as they were doing things. And to me, it was very amazing. And I wanted to be part of that. So I asked the lady who was in the front of the room, I asked her that where could I buy this stuff? Never knew anything, about what network marketing was, or never knew what, how stuff is sold or anything like that. I just knew I buy it wholesale. I sell it at retail. That's what I knew how to do. So I was asking her, where can I buy this at wholesale? And she says, you know what? She hands me a flyer and a brochure. And she says, here's my name and number. Anything you need, call me, I'll get it for you, so I don't think she took me for reals. I was pretty angry at the response. But, a few weeks down the line, I was walking through this flea market. And I was walking through the flea market, I saw this lady selling, this stuff. And I would walk through the flea market because I was looking for items that I could resell and sell all that time. And so, but I saw this lady, and she had a table full of this stuff with the logo of that company right in front of, of the table there. And one of the things is, I approached her and I said, I want to sell this stuff. And I told her, if you will permit me and tell me where you buy this, he goes, I won't come into this flea market and sell anything. So I promise I will leave somewhere else, and sell it. Because I wanted to go after my mom's friends, people who I knew they were looking for this stuff. I knew they were going to buy it. I knew they were going to do a lot of different things. So the lady, as this, she starts laughing, and she brings up this big 3-ring binder with Xerox copies of everything you can imagine that company had. So she brings it up and she tells me, I have to sponsor you in. And she started explaining what sponsoring was. And to me, being sponsored didn't sound like legit. It didn't sound real. It didn't. I go, what do you mean recruit me or actually sponsor me or anything like that? So she went through the conversation. She went through the steps. I said, okay, I'm in. I wrote up. I signed up. And I started my business. And basically what I did that was pretty different than everybody else, I knew I could not sell this stuff at home parties. I was too young. People wouldn't take me serious at 16. So what I did was I hired, a fleet of girls from my school. We had a lot of friends, and we all went with our jerseys, our school logos, our school shirts, and school jackets. And we went door to door, and we started selling this stuff door to door, and we made a killing. I mean, literally, I became the regional top sales rep within a couple months. And so it was an incredible moment. I think we made a lot of money during that time, and we kept growing. But that's how I was introduced really into network marketing. Yet at that point, I didn't know what network marketing was. And, I just took it as a product to sell. And, basically a product that I bought at wholesale and a product that I was going to sell. So we just took it door to door. Now, after that, I learned about network marketing when basically what I was doing wrong, even though I was selling more than everybody else in this region, one thing that happened was that, a gentleman approached me, which was one of the husbands of one of the top leaders in that company at a convention. And he approached me and goes, you're doing everything correct. You're doing everything right. But the thing you're missing is residual income. And he's the first person actually, and I call him my first mentor, because he actually sat down and started, on a napkin, putting down these circles and lines and circles and lines, and this is you, and this is how you do it. And the first time he started doing that, and to me, it just all made sense. For some reason, it just started making sense. I know a lot of people, when the first time you're approached with some comp plan like that, written down on a napkin, maybe you don't get it. But to me, everything started happening, started approaching. See, for me, and I want you all to know this, is like, there's a lot of people out there that play football and they're very good at it. They play baseball, they're very good at it. They play hockey, they're phenomenal at it, right? This is my sport. And I think I knew from the get-go business was going to be my sport.
And I agree with that 100%. It is your sport. And you take it on like that. And it's amazing to me what you said to me about your systems and the way that you're doing, your 5 steps to the system. And we'll come back to that after the break. But it is so refreshing to talk to somebody at age 42 that has been in this business for so many years, that's more on fire about it, about the profession, than he's ever been in his life. He just opened up the country of Ghana, which is places to open up a network marketing business. And he didn't do it so much for the money. He did it for the people there. And when I was talking to him, he said, Tom, he said, I had to do it. I went there. I have a relationship with the president of that country, and I was able to do it so those people have the ability to come over here and make $30, because $30 to those people is thousands of dollars to us. And what's so cool about his attitude toward that is he believes it from his core. He doesn't think he's doing this thing for a paycheck. Had a Rolls Royce for a very, very long time. He's had gigantic success for a very long time, although he's had gigantic failure along the way. But he's one of those guys like me and a few other people that it doesn't faze him. I mean, this thing, that's just another opportunity to start over and get bigger and better. And we'll talk about that during the rest of the show. He's here for the whole show with us. We've got to take a break. And if you're watching this Facebook Live, it's kind of a fake break, because what we do is we act like we're going on break, but we don't really go on break, because we keep talking, and I bring somebody in that kind of resembles me, about 50 years younger, and we're coming back right after this with the Tom Chenault Show. And hello, we're back, Armand, and now we've got Adrian. So say hi to Adrian. Yeah, I got it.
How you doing, Adrian?
Hey, Armand, how are you?
So those people that don't know, including Armand, is that we're on a national radio station which has 550 affiliates. So there's a hard break going on the radio, which gives me a chance to, during the commercial breaks, it's every day. It's with him now. It's a nightmare, because it's take your child to work day. So I have to drag him to work with me every day, breastfeed the kid. It's just horrible. It's just so sad that I
step out if you need me to.
So that's what we have to do. And Adrian is the man behind Contact Mapping, which Armand, when we were having lunch, talked about relationships being 100%. In fact, talk about that, Armand. We got a few minutes here. Talk about relationships are everything in network marketing. I mean, it hasn't changed with the internet. It's gotten more important, right?
Well, definitely. Relationships is the key to retention, and retention is what makes millionaires. And one of the things that people don't understand is that, a lot of people try to recruit and try to do a lot of different things online, and it's all good. But if you don't have that relationship, if you're not growing that close relationship, people can leave you right away. They can put that delete button on the computer and you're gone, or that block button on your Facebook and you're out of there. And one of the things that people don't understand is that since I was in network marketing, that's the very first thing people were saying. You're building a relationship, a network of relationships. And if you can build a network of relationships, the people that, in case you fall over, let me just get this back really quickly. I was on a big cruise with a boat, with a show and everything in Cabo. And basically one of the gentlemen there, one of the big leaders says, look, Armand, I don't know what you've done, but if you were to fall over into the water, everybody will jump in for you. That's growing relationships. And I think that's what we do. The more relations you have, the more personal it is, the more close to family everybody is. Trust me, nobody's leaving. And that's the key to retention.
And remembering everything about people is the most important part. I sat down with Armand. We had a huge lunch. I got out of there. I walked. I had taken a picture of him. He's in my contact mapping app. I got my microphone out of the contact mapping app and just brain dumped everything about Armand into there. And the reason I did that was because I'm going to see him in a year, and I want him to remember that I remembered. And that's the most important part, right?
Yeah, that's totally right. That the cruise ship, right? People aren't jumping off the side of the ship to go get you because you're a celebrity in the network marketing industry. They're not jumping off of there because they think that you're going to make them all this money. They're jumping off of the side of that boat. Hopefully they don't actually have to do that. But they're going to do that because they know you care about them first. They know that you are invested in who they are in helping them get to their dream. And so often we get it backwards and we make it about us, and we're just trying to project and do all this kind of stuff. And if you can help people to realize how important they are, and you can give that energy and that care to them, they'll follow you wherever they're going to go. And that's really who you've been, right, Armand?
That's right. I mean, that's all. I think most of 7 or 8 figure earners in the industry, I think it comes natural to them. And everybody like, for example, if Tom were to forget me a year from now, even without contact mapping, I would be very disappointed.
No doubt
but,
about it. Okay. So
we didn't do it.
We're going to come back during the next, we'll continue this in the next commercial break. We got to get back on the radio. So we're going to take about 10 seconds of silence here, starting right now. And we're back. This is the Tom Chenault Show on the Genesis Communication Network. I hope everybody's having a great day. We have got an unbelievable guest for you today, talking about a guy who created an 8-figure income and several 7-figure incomes. And if you're trying to figure out what that means, 8 figures is $10 million in a year. That is a lot of money. I know a lot of people that make $1 million a year. And that was Mount Everest to them. They got to the top and they didn't think there was any lid. And what I need are mentors that have made 10 million, because I want to hit that goal. And every time I hit a goal, I need a new goal. And Armand's one guy that is in the stratosphere. But not only that, he's done it more than once. And that's just crazy, too. There's a kid watching this show that I want to talk about because we're going to have him on a future show. 18 years old, flew around the world. Yep, around the world. So I met a friend of his friends, so then I ended up talking to his mother down in Australia. I contact mapped the heck out of him, and by the time it was over, I had figured out that this kid lived in Tennessee close to Bob Dickey, and he's continuing his career there, and we're going to get him on. But think about that, flying around the world at age 18. Not many people do that on this planet. That's about like making $1 million or $10 million a year in network marketing like Armand. So that kid knows that we know he's on. And Armand, back to you. Ghana, we were talking about opening up Ghana. You did that because of your heart. You did that because you are all about helping people and sending the message. And why is that so important to you at a young age of 42? At age 67, like me, I got to get some good karma because my expiration date is quickly approaching. But at 42, that's amazing.
Well, it's pretty simple, Tom. I think I've grown in this network marketing arena for pretty much a long time, but I learned something during that time, the beginning stages, is that, my main mentor myself is Jesus Christ. And basically the way he's grown his network from himself to 12 and from 12 to billions right now is the way I want to run a network marketing company. It's the way I want to, run my network, of people in anywhere you go. He didn't do it trying to, telling them they're going to make a lot of money. He's trying to help them. People that hate him, there's a lot of people that may hate me for whatever reason it is. I don't hate them, and on and on. And the reaction and the pro reaction we have with everybody, I think, is what's going to help. Now with Ghana and a lot of third world nations that, we've opened up with, and I've tried to open up and put a building in. And one of the things that you will see from our part is that we're not, I don't want to ever say I'm opening a country and it's just a little block in the wall with paint on it and some stickers, and we call it an office. We literally got a building in Ghana. To get a building, you have to prepay the building for, I believe it was 3 years, and we have to do stuff like this to be able to get in there. Now, one of the things is why Ghana, why, for example, why Peru, why Colombia, why Ecuador, why Bolivia, why Guatemala, El Salvador, or any of these countries is because I'll tell you what, and one thing that I learned is like, again, I'll go back to retention. Retention is the key to success, I think, in any company. It doesn't matter if it's McDonald's. It doesn't matter if it's a network marketing company. The more retention you have, the better the business you have. And then if you have growth alongside that retention, and the retention is growing, then you have a true business. See, so one of the things that I learned very young in my in my career is basically that if I can get somebody to make, let's just say, $100 a week. That's not, here in the United States, it might not be a lot of money. People go, well, that may not even be good part-time money. But in any of these places around the world, guess what happens? They become full-time. Why do they become full-time? Because now they can feed their kids. Now they can put clothes on them. Now they can get shoes for them. Now they can take them to school, because school costs in other parts of the world. Even elementary school costs. It's not free in a lot of places. So if you can afford to take these kids to better their lives, to help them put food on the table, guess what? We're doing our job. As a matter of fact, a lot of people go, Armand, why do you strive so much? Look, I've almost died a couple times, and literally died, and it's just another story to tell another day. But I always thought of myself saying, look, if I want a legacy, what will my legacy be? And I think, and I can tell you with all my heart, my friends, I don't want my tombstone to read how many millions I've earned through my career, because there's a lot of millions there, but it's not the millions or billions that Bill Gates makes, or Warren Buffett, or a lot of the great people that are out there, Bizio, he's making a lot of money now, now, but I do want my tombstone to read how many millions of people we've helped. Okay. And I don't pretend that I want to make, a lot of millionaires. Billionaires will come in no matter where we're at and how we're helping. But here's the key factors: how many people we're helping around the world. Because if we're helping people, there's a saying in the Bible that everybody hears all the time, and says, you can give somebody a fish. We can donate a lot of money to a lot of people so we can feed them, and we can clothe them, and we can do a lot of different things. But isn't it better to show them how to fish so they don't have to depend on us the rest of their life? And that's what we're out for.
All right, man. We're going to take another break. Don't you? Breaks. We're going to take another break. This is the Genesis Communication Network, and just hang around and listen to some commercials for a second. We've got Armand with us. Ted Anderson, thank you for my life. We'll be back right after this. And we're back. Tell Adrian to come back in, James. And so the cool thing about what we're doing here, and I just saved a change. We didn't pull the chair out last time, so that's pretty cool. So we've got Adrian Chenault to contactmapping.com. You guys want to go to that website, because I have to do a podcast tomorrow with Adrian. And Adrian said, what is your favorite topic? And I said, my favorite topic is also my best skill. And my best skill, by a long shot, is my favorite topic. And that favorite topic is follow-up. And I have prided myself on follow-up for years. Really, really being good at it. And I found out through this little snot-nosed kid, this whippersnapper, Adrian Chenault, that my follow-up skills were about a 4 on a scale of 10 until where I thought they were, which was about a 9. And I don't care if you're in the real estate business like Jim Heintzelman, or whether you are in any kind of business out there on the planet, follow-up is the key to it. And being an ace at it without people realizing you're a king of follow-up is the magic. And that's what I'm good at, because I constantly touch people with, I love you, how it's going, instead of, maybe I might actually have that grammatically correct, I love you, how's it going? But yeah, that's what I do really, really well. And your app changed all that. Talk about that.
Yeah. The thing that I think we all do is we all think we're going to follow up. We all make the mental note to do it. And then, whatever happens, life happens and we don't. And how often does somebody tell you, you should speak to so-and-so, I want to introduce you to so-and-so, and you're all excited about it, and then a squirrel runs by. That's out the window, right? And so being able to immediately go from, I'm going to follow up, to I set that intention, to it actually happens because I get reminded every day until I actually do it, is something that you just can't really appreciate how powerful that is in your life until you have that experience. And it starts changing the way that you behave, because you just start operating inside of your word. You start operating inside of, how can I make sure that this relationship grows? And I'm not stressed about it anymore, because I've got a place to park all of that information that I want to remember about somebody. I've got a place to park those follow-ups, and it makes sure that it actually happens. And it just allows you to be focused on building the relationship and not worried about all the admin of trying to remember all this stuff. Yeah,
and it's magic, and it's cheap. It's $10 a month. Contactmapping.com, and this is an ad. If you're listening to the radio show right now on the 550 stations, you're hearing about survivalist stuff. So don't think you're missing anything if you're getting all tweaked at these commercials. These are better commercials than you would be subjected to on the other thing. But here's the problem: it's a hard break. So we have to not talk about anything important with Armand that you would miss on the regular radio, or they're just going to walk into the middle of a conversation. So we have to do it this way. But it also gives us a shout out to Angel Fletcher, who is just all over the wall talking about how much she loves you, Armand. So many of your fans, Duke Rumley, a guy that I mean so much to with my son, all you people watching this show, Pamela Ann Schwartz, Fior, Michelle, all these crazy names. You can tell they're fans of Armand's because I can't pronounce their names. You're an icon out there,
international
Armand.
superstar.
You are a superstar, buddy.
I appreciate that. Now, getting back to the contact mapping right now, a lot of people don't understand, and it's a great tool out there, and I'm going to plug you right now because, I've seen the app, I've seen what it does, and basically it's the same thing that a lot of us do already as professionals. And, a lot of people will buy into an app or a system or a funnel system that, you want to call back people, and it tells you when to follow up and when to do this, but it doesn't tell you what what the name of their child is. It doesn't tell you, little things that you will need, to really make that personal to that person, that for them thinking that you do care about them because you remembered all this and all that. One of the things that I've had a great I have a great memory. I guess I can tell you that I've done it, from the get-go. It does get difficult because sometimes when we're having a chat, and it'll come back in my head. Oh, yeah, your puppy that was, that.
All right, pop it back. All right, so here we are. Eric Worre. We've already shouted out about GoPro one time. We'll do it again in the show. We're going to go back to regular radio right now. Adrian, get out of here. And we're coming back, so be quiet for like 2 seconds, everybody.
Not a problem.
All right, we are back. It is Tom Chenault, and it's the Tom Chenault Show on the Radio Colorado Network and Genesis Communication Network. It is a great, great day. I hope you're having fun. And this Armand is amazing. He's got a heart this big. And at the beginning of the show, I talked about GoPro and how it is absolutely so important. And this morning, I listened to Grant Cardone talking about the banks and why they want you to save your money so they can spend it. And it was Eric's got a new podcast that is going to blow your mind. So you go to Network Marketing Pro Podcasts, not Eric Worre podcast. I looked for that and some poser was there. But at the end of the day, go to Network Marketing Pro Podcasts. And I am telling you, this first one that he's got up with Grant Cardone, it's long because as you know, I walked to my AA meeting in the morning. That was me walking. And at that, so I only got to, so I didn't get it all. I didn't get it all in. It was too cool and too long, so I didn't get to hear it all. But for those of you that love Eric, that love unbelievable content, that love Grant Cardone, you got to listen to this, man. It lit me up. So that's just a plug for Eric Worre, the Great GoPro event, and his new podcast, and the fact that he just got to interview Larry King, which is even cooler than cool. So back to you, Armand, talking. And Eric just said the same thing I said. And it was such a huge, huge revelation to me. I knew you from afar. You and I have spent a little bit of time having lunch with you, might have been a life-changing experience. And here's a guy 25 years younger than me that I learned so much from, who has got such humility, such passion, such energy. It's unbelievable. And what you give back to the ANMP, what you give back to GoPro, what you give back to everything you can do in your life is just absolutely the best thing ever. So back to you, Armand. Why are you that way? I mean, what the heck happened? How'd you end up like this?
Well, one of the things that I've realized very young in the business is that, a lot of people need training. And the reason a lot of people are not successful in network marketing is given the industry of network marketing a bad taste in people's mouth. Is because people don't get trained. If you were to become a mechanic, you will be trained. If you're going to become a cook at McDonald's, you're going to be trained. And so the more you're trained, the better you get. And that's one of the things that people have to understand. Even at conventions, a lot of these company conventions that people are having, phenomenal companies, and you will never hear me talking negative of a company in network markets. Every single one of them are working hard. Every single owner is working their butts off to really make something happen, and their dreams happen and their products happen, which most of them are phenomenal. But here's the deal. One of the things that I understood is that every time I attended or a convention of sort, no matter what company it was, one thing that I saw is that it was the same, like a Super Saturday, the same people up, they said the comp plan, the same training, the same fast start training, the same everything that they did. And then all of a sudden everybody went home. It's just the bigger leaders did that training instead of the same state of, the regular people who would do it at a Super Saturday. So to me, it was an eye opener. Somebody told me about GoPro, and I attended one of these events years ago. And the first time I think I met Eric Worre at that same time, and I've heard of Eric, and I've heard about a little different things, and learning. That's the best point. I sat in that place, and I sat in the front row. I remember, and as I was sitting, I was listening to all these trainers from all these multiple companies and everything else. And to myself, I go, this is what we need. This is exactly what we need. Teach the best of the best and let them teach. It does, if we are generic, if we, you have to, let me just step back a little bit, is that we have to acknowledge that we are a industry of companies, okay, that want to do the same thing. We are not competing against each other, and people have to stop thinking that you're competing. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of my best friends, they're leaders in other companies. A lot of, the people that I love to hang around with, have lunch with, they're the top earners in other companies. Why? Not because I'm trying to recruit them, because they're unrecruitable either way. So that's not even going to happen. But here's the thing, and this is, I want you to understand this, is that these relationships of leaders, that make the top money. Who else would I like, for example, as a top earner in a company, who else would I talk to? I can't talk to my downline and says, you know what, I feel this is the wrong part or this is the wrong thing to do. I would talk to an equal, for example, like Tom, and says, Tom, how would what if this happened? What would you do? And and I would get some ideas off of him and bounce things off and try to grow each other's companies pretty strong. Now, an event like GoPro to me was like God sent. Why? Because as I sat there and I listened to all these high earners stand on stage and just teach the art. That's all we want. Teach the art. Guess what? Everybody gets to take it back and go to their own studios and draw their own work. That's all it is. You teach the work, you teach the artwork, let them go and make millions wherever they want to go. You know what? It's not about the companies, and it's not about the products. It's about you. This is a people's industry. And that's what people have to understand, is that the better the industry is, the healthier it is, and we're not fighting against each other, the healthier we are united. Basically, it doesn't matter what company you're from and everything else. Guess what? The bigger the people and the governments are going to look at us, and they're going to say, you know what, you are a legit, industry, just like anything else out there. How many of you know that McDonald's and Burger Kings are right across the street from each other? They're competing companies, but at the same time, they're franchises. And guess what? As franchises, they may be the owners of the both franchises. They may be friends. So, and that's a phenomenal way to look at it, I think.
You actually had a conversation with me about collaboration of companies not going from scarcity, but having companies understand that even the companies could get together and do something like fill up like Mile High Stadium, Invesco Stadium, and, you know, almost like just all the companies saying, holy cow, let's get all these great people together, educate and train and inspire the heck out of them, and then everybody go across the street to their own mini convention for their own people. But you are so about that lack of scarcity and creating a better world on this profession where we aren't shooting each other from within. That is the brilliance of what this is. And more owners like you, more big leaders like you are what we need, because everybody else is trying to steal other people's people, and it's just yucky. And what we need to do is basically collaborate and expose those people that are trying to do that, so we can get those guys off the map and out of our hair, and have those guys understand that that is not the way to do it. So we got to continually clean out the bad apples, but we had apples, and show people the right way is the best way, and it's actually the only way, right, Armand?
That's the only way, my friend.
I agree with you. I agree with me. And so that's that. So talk about systems. I mean, you see people making so much money that are staying inside of a system. And you said a great line about systems, and I can't remember what it was. I do have it in my notes, but I'd have to, because I have so many notes on you, I'd have to read and find it. But you talked about the fact that staying inside of a culture and a system, that is the way to get there from here. And lots of people have great stuff, but if they're taking people every hither, thither, and yon, they are all dead. You've got to follow. You got to build a culture, have a system, right?
Definitely. The systems can be very small and minute. It has to be simple. And everything that you do, it would have to, I think, you know, and the way the culture you have to build is people being able to make money. You know, a lot of things is like, for example, retention. Retention is the biggest thing for me in any company. I don't care if you're the owner or if you're a distributor. Retention means, you know, how much income is coming in, and it means, you know, the stability of the company itself. Retention is a big deal for me. So, you know, to me is, how do you gain retention? There's only two ways. You have to have a phenomenal product that people say, you know what, I don't even need an auto ship. I'm going to buy it anyway. You know, you don't have to force me. You know, I'll get it anyway. That's a phenomenal product. Number two is people have to make money. And the problem is that people, you know, usually recruit people in this industry, unfortunately. And the very first thing they do is you get your pack, and then nobody answers the phone no more. And they don't know how to sell this stuff. They don't know how to move this stuff. All they can do is drink it themselves or take it themselves and everything else. And at the end of it, they think they lost money. They didn't see the effort or the beauty in the product. I mean, they just saw they lost the money and they didn't make any money, as everybody else was talking about. So one of the things is teaching people a simple system. And I have a 5-step system that basically helps anybody. I don't care what industry, I don't care what industry, I don't care what company, I don't care what else you're doing around that helps, you know, and stimulates everybody else. I stick to 5 steps. Number 1, people have to have product. Number 2, people have to go and cold market, go after people, you know, and look for people, you know, prospect out there, cold market. And that's a key, cold market, not warm market. Number 3, follow up. Yeah, like we're talking about the follow-up systems and everything else that are out there. And number 4, we talk about sorting people. Sorting makes millionaires. I've always been taught that from the very beginning, and I've always learned how to sort people. Number 5, obviously, duplication. And so when we go through these 5 steps, basically, I teach people, number 1, you must have product. You're not going to be an empty store walking around only buying the minimum product that your company needs. Why? Because if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I want that, coffee, capsule, tea, or whatever it is that you sell, water, whatever it is, chocolate, doesn't matter. Let's just say somebody comes and you go, I don't have it. The first thing they do, because we live in a cell phone with internet society, they're going to go on and they're going to look for it, and they're going to buy it from somebody else because you gave them that interest. So you must have product on hand all the time. And that's a key factor for me. And it's not like I want to create salespeople. That's not the key. But to prospect correctly, people must try the product and make sure they fall in love with it.
How cool is that? So you got the 5 steps. I know they posted them on the wall. Pamela Ann Schwartz, we've got like a stenographer. Girl went to Harvard. She is a rock star in her own rank. And what she does is she stays in the comments and makes sure that if something gets mentioned, it gets dropped into the comments, which is unbelievable. I see the man who made the ANMP. We not only had Eric Worre on here and Angel Fletcher, but I just saw Sean Murphy, who is one of the unbelievable. He's like you. You'd never believe a guy could be that good a guy until you meet him in person and realize the guy is all heart like you, Armand. Don't you just love the Angels and the Erics and the Seans of the world that all they do is give back?
Not only do they give back, but the training basically people give at these events, I think is life-changing trainings, because here's one thing that I have to tell you, and it's a secret of mine, is that I can train people, and I can train people very well. I think I'm good at training people, just my personal opinion. But not everybody's going to get my training. But if I have an Angel Fletcher, for example, training on stage, and she's phenomenal on stage, it doesn't matter, she's a different company, but my people can relate to her. Guess what? It helps me. So the more people you have on stage.
We're going to come back to that in 2 seconds. Hold that thought. We're going to take another break.
Definitely.
And we're back. Okay, we're on break. And Adrian's split. Marianne, you can come in here and say hi. People would love to see you. She's the producer of the show, and she's always selling something. This is the commercial. So everybody that during the show, it's pretty funny because we get to have this like break of commercials with no commercials. So I just get to free form whatever I want to talk about. And with this, I mean, Marianne, you are incredibly wonderful and beautiful and like a mother to me. But at the end of the day, I want you to explain why you go to GoPro and the ANMP and all the service that you do. I mean, you are a servant leader like Sean Murphy. All you do is give back all the time. Why do you do that?
Well, I think like Armand said, this business is about relationships and about building those type of families and communities. And I feel like this is just one big community, right, amongst all of us.
That's exactly right.
It's and so giving back it's easy. It's easy. It's not, in real life, it doesn't feel easy, but in network marketing as a professional, it feels very easy to get back.
When I met you, you were just this self-centered little mushroom coming in here, stealing my internet, and it was and coffee, and hanging out here, and I finally formed a partnership with her, and now I work for her. But the cool thing about it is all your friends. How many people have you met all over the world?
Oh, yeah, tremendous relation. And the crazy thing is...
She wasn't a self-centered little mushroom. I made that up.
No, he just made that up. But I was broken. I really was. When I was broken, and I was able to put all the pieces back together and, become inspired as somebody, right? To be somebody better than, who I really was showing up as. So I feel pretty good about how I show up now. But no, it's true. I have people all over the country. I have tremendous friends and people in my business that it's so much more than just business. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, and you get to the connections, and constantly everybody help people all the time. Reach up in your relationships, reach up in your training, reach up in your wanting to learn skills, reach up in your personal development. That's the key to this whole deal, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, you couldn't do this without personal development. There's no way that you could really exist in this community without it. So I every year I invest in, personal development books and courses and wherever it lands. And I think, going to GoPro and AMP in a big way, those are personal development. Because that's what you learn when you're there.
And how about the contact mapping app? Have you used it?
Oh, my goodness. I absolutely love that app. And, and I'm like you. I always thought I was fairly good at follow-up, but, yeah, I was probably at a 2. And so now every day I know who I need to follow up with, and it's so inspiring because those people, like what Adrian was saying, sometimes they fall off, right? You're like, oh, I'll call you next week and we'll get together. And guess what? 2 months go by and you don't reach out to those people. So is it time Do I need to go back?
Somebody just sent me a note, wanted to know because they're so sick of hearing about the contact mapping. They want to know if they can buy an ad in the show.
Oh, good.
And no, I can't do that because I can't take your money because I don't think the advertising would work, and I'd feel horrible about it. So if you got something you want me to plug other than a network marketing company or something, but if you want me to help you with something, I'd be happy to do it.
A book or something,
yeah,
right? We do that all the time. Yeah,
we'd be happy to do anything because like Armand, like Sean Murphy, like Garrett McGrath, like Eric Worre, we got to make this world a better place, and that's by paying it forward, doing good. Like that Alan Steelman, the congressman.
He
that's
was
got
awesome.
The yoga
I think
book.
we're coming back.
All right, we're coming back, so everybody be quiet for like a couple seconds. So. And we're back. We're back with Armand, and I am telling you, we just had Marianne Niehaus, who's a rock star in her own right, but I'll tell you, I love this guy. And I want you to understand that, he was talking about using Angel Fletcher as somebody that he uses as a training mentor. And whatever you're not good at, there is somebody out there that's great at it. And the cool thing about this business is you can piggyback upon all that, and you can really get good by osmosis with these people, but you have to be committed that you are on a lifelong learning initiative. And if you do that, you're going to go to GoPro. You're going to go to the ANMP. You're going to go to those places, and the next thing you know, people are going to be calling you on the phone saying, would you like to be on a panel there? And then they're going to say, would you like to speak there? And you're not going to believe it because you came from the same class. I was homeless. I was at the end of the rope. I had $1 to my name. And to be where I am now from where I was is unbelievable. But those stories are what make the day in network marketing, right, Armand?
That is true. That is true. And I mean, I've seen so many of these stories, from people in this industry change their lives, 360, percent. It's incredible the growth that I've seen through network marketing, what network marketing can do for a lot of people. Again, one of the things that I want to point out though is that, a lot of people that are in the industry, there's a lot of ego out here, and that can stop you from growth as much as people don't understand. And one of the things that you have to know is, like for myself, I would step off the stage and let all the superstars take care of it. Why? Because it does the same job, and if I can get, for example, like we're talking about Angel Fletcher right now, she's a powerful woman standing in front of the room, and I you can see it in people's eyes around you when they're listening. Guess what? You want that, for your team. You want them to listen to that and learn from that. It's amazing. You got a lot of different people that are out there that are just phenomenal. Like an Eric Worre, we became friends, and I think we became great friends to the point that he's done some things for us, at our company I can't thank him enough.
Marianne, I'm interrupting him. Eric showed up out of the sky blue, no money, all heart, walked in, stood up in the front of the room, killed it in a training for free, never plugged GoPro the book, never plugged GoPro the event, never plugged anything, just walked in, knocked the cover off the ball, hit the ball hit a grand slam, and walked back out and sat in the crowd. I heard about that. He did that for me once too, now that I think about it. Unbelievable. So sorry to interrupt you, but that's extraordinary. This guy gets $75,000 an hour. Go ahead.
More. But the thing is, what? The relationships, and all I did was, contact him and says, Eric, because we know we're friends, and basically is what's the possibilities that you can drop by? We're in your neighborhood, But to me, that meant so much more than anything that you can think about it, because now I do anything for him, and not that I wouldn't have before. I mean, I would always do anything for GoPro. I would always do anything that I needed to do. But to have him show up really and no interest and beneficial interest for himself to do it, he just came in, blow the roof right off the convention center, and it was just a phenomenal training. To me, that's what friendships mean, man. And guess what? I would do that for a lot of different companies, a lot of different people. And I would do that for anyone also, because guess what? When we build these relationships, the more relationships you have like this, the more relationships you have like me and Tom, like, like a lot of key leaders that are out there, and myself, is that, you have this reach that will help propel no matter what you're doing, into the next level.
And you get out of your own company and give it back to the world. And maybe they don't know about you today, but if you're as good as you think you are, and if you're as good as your paycheck is trying to tell you you are, then somebody's going to notice if you get out of your own backyard and go out and start serving the world and doing a walk-on like Eric. Or, you know, Armand, did I not tell you I'd go to Ghana with you for free?
Definitely.
I'd go to Ghana. I would do that because my heart, you guys know this. I am all about the littlest of the little, not the biggest of the big. I think I could make a difference over there. And I know that he is doing that for those people that have no hope. And to give somebody a tiny bit of hope with no hope, that's what's going to get me to the pearly gates. I'm getting close. I got to do stuff like that. So, Armand, I love you. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, man. You are truly, truly one of a kind, dyed-in-the-wool network marketer. I want to ask you one more question. You've had to start over more than once. And lots of people watching this have either never started or are starting over, and they're thinking they're too old, they're too this, they're too that. I'll tell you one thing right now. Something happens in my company, no problem. I just change my jersey, and I put my spikes back on, and I get back on the field because I've got the talent, I've got the skills, I've got the gift of desperation. I can do it. Aren't you the same way?
I've always been the same way. As a matter of fact, in the last company, there was a different point of view how we wanted to take the company between the ownership and myself, and I literally left an 8-figure income to start from zero. And most people will say, you're crazy, you're nuts. But guess what? Sometimes you have to do that because you're not afraid to. See, I'm not afraid to start from zero at any point in my life. And I can start over at any point, and I know I'll get it back to 7 figures or 8 figures or even more. Why? Because we already know the way. We already know the road. And that's why it's very important for me that people start learning from people who've actually made it to that, how to become a 7-figure earner, that it was a 7-figure earner that is training in front of them.
Stay here
because
second.
A lot of the...
Hold on 1 second, just 1 sec. Okay, we're going to be back next week on the Tom Chenault Show. Thanks for listening. Okay, we're back. Go back to Armand. Okay, so I know I interrupted you, but we had to end the show for the radio. But now you're back on. I know this is cornball, but it's so perfect. I love it more than the radio thing because we get to be so real now. So you can even cuss. So go ahead. So
no worries.
Okay, I knew that. I knew that. That's what's so damn cool. So keep.
Well, I do believe that in network marketing, basically, people have to learn from people who are of these generic events that we do like that. That's why I support the ANP. And I still believe to my heart that is, and I told this to Eric too, and I hope he wasn't offended by this, but I told him the ANP to me is my favorite event. I mean, not because of the quantity of leadership that gets on stage. I mean, I do wish everybody had more time. That's one thing I would have cut it to half and added more time for every 7-figure earner that's on stage. And the reason being is that I do believe that there's a lot of the problem with network marketing, and it becomes a big problem, is that people are trained to be 7-figure earners by people who have never made it to 7 figures. And sometimes they're teaching ideas or whatever they think is going to get them there. And that just harms a lot of people on their way. People have to learn to understand that you have to learn from documented people, documented leaders. It doesn't matter what company they're from. I don't care if you're listening to Holden Boggs, which is a phenomenal leader. And I would tell people, listen to what he's teaching. Why? Because the man's been there. The man's gotten to that 8-figure earnings, and he knows what he's doing and he knows what he's teaching. To me, that is a phenomenal cat. And to me, that's what a gentleman that I would literally let people listen to, all the time, because I know what he's doing and what he can do. All these 7-figure earners that we've had on stage at the ANP, I would love for there to be, a training system with everybody on it, because people, no matter what company you're from, everybody will benefit. And I think, I can't tell you that I know everything. I don't. I'm a great, like I told you guys before, I think I'm a phenomenal trainer. But other than that, I don't know everything. I'm still learning, and I learn from people that are doing things that are different than I. And I love listening to what they do and what they accomplish and what this thing does. Or maybe they have a Facebook deal where they can know how to recruit better than everybody else. And I'm not an online guy. I'm a belly to belly. But listening to this guy, I can kind of turn around and use it and see how it works. And if it worked for me, teach it down my downline. So a lot of people don't understand, but if you keep your mind open, and my dad told me this a very long time ago, he said, you know what? No matter who it is, I don't care if he's the gardener or the janitor. You listen to every word people have to say, and that's what I live by, because you never know where a great idea will come from. So I'm always listening. I'm always paying attention, and I'm always having conversations with people, and that becomes the art form. When people ask me, Armand, what do you do? What is what you do in network marketing? Because what I do. My job is to have friends all over the world. My job is to go see my friends all over the world. My job is to have dinner with my friends all over the world. That's all I do. People go, that's what you do for work. That's all I do. That's it. Just share your opportunity. Share what you do. Share, what you know, how to be successful. If you don't know something, don't teach it. But whatever you do know, teach it. Share it to people. Why? It's going to propel people to get to your level. And guess what? The more of those we have, the better this industry will be.
You're the greatest. We're going to get out of here. This is what happened, so I'm going to California. I thought my party was like Saturday. I'm such a dazed man that I end up going into Rancho Cucamonga on Friday, and the party isn't till Saturday at 7 o'clock at night. So I got the whole day in that town. So all I did was look in my contact mapping app and popped in that town. And here comes Armand's name. He lives right there, along with 3 other friends of mine that I didn't even know live there. And that was it was crazy. So then all I had to do was pick up the phone, and I just texted Armand and said, would you like to have a cup of coffee? He said, Tom, not only would I love to do that, I'd love to have lunch or dinner, you choose. But the fact of the matter is, stop being such a hermit. Armand's not trying to recruit me. I'm not trying to recruit Armand. All that was a conversation across a cup of coffee with a couple of peers trying to make the world a better place. And if you take your agenda out of conversation and just build great relationships that turn into great friendships, everything is going to change for you. I guarantee it. And with that, I want to say thank you, Armand, from the bottom of my heart, for lunch, for teaching me so much, for being such a man of this profession and such a man paying it forward. And you're welcome back on this show at any time.
Well, I was glad to hear that. I thought you weren't going to let me on.
All right. We'll see you all. I'm glad you're going to let me on. I love you all with all my heart. We'll see you all later. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Angel. Thanks, Joe Kennemore. Thanks, Sean Murphy. See